Football season is officially here. Welcome to Channel 6's Countdown to Kickoff. I'm Nick Canizales.
And I'm Curtis Quilla. We're coming to you from Crusader Stadium in Belton, where tomorrow night the Central Texas high school football season officially kicks off when Rogers takes on Academy.
And it ought to be a great matchup there. We're going to go team by team, breaking down everybody to see who has what it takes to win that state championship this season.
And who people might be sleeping on in 2019.
All right, let's get this whole thing started in Class 6A. We start at Midway, where in case you haven't heard, the Panthers haven't lost a district game since the 2013 season. So it's no surprise that Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has tabbed Midway to repeat as champions once again. The Panthers lost a lot to graduation, but still bring back a good amount of starters. They do have a new quarterback in Tyler Webb, who transferred in from BRUCEVILLE, but after a state quarterfinal run a year ago, the Panthers are ready to cement their spot on the Texas high school football map.
Expectations in Temple are always high. This year is no different. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has projected the Wildcats to finish second in an always competitive District 12 6A. But fourth-year coach Scott Stewart says they have higher expectations in the Wildcat locker room. Temple brings back a lot of talent, starting with Texas commit wide receiver Quentin Johnston. Stewart says the biggest strength of his team this year is definitely their offensive line. They have 3 returning starters and 2 others with valuable experience.
In Belton, the Tigers are coming off a 7-4 season, which saw them lose to Rockwall in the Class 6A by-district round. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has the Tigers picked 3rd in a brutal district this year, but the expectations are high in Tigerland this year with a lot of weapons, including returning quarterback Ruben Jimenez.
The Coppers Cove Bulldogs returned to the playoffs last year, where they met a formidable foe in eventual state champion Longview. But now expectations at Cove are higher. 5 starters are back on both sides of the ball for the Bulldogs, who will have a new quarterback leading the offense. Cove expects itself to be back in the playoffs this season, and head coach Jack Alvarez in his 2nd year says they now know what they need to do to get past the first round.
The Ellison Eagles were a game out of the playoffs last year, and are looking to make sure that does not happen again this year. Here's the good news, though. 8 starters are back on the Ellison defense, including pretty much the entire secondary. With 25 seniors back from last year's squad, Ellison will be leaning toward that experience to make sure they get that one game and into the playoffs.
The KILLEEN Kangaroos bring back almost their entire offense. 8 starters are back from a team which just barely missed the playoffs last year. They're led by Rice commit and tight end Nate Camper, plus running back Kadarius Marshall. The Roos are looking to take control of their own destiny in 2019 after being oh so close and missing out. Look for KILLEEN to contend in District 12 6A.
In his 3rd year under head coach Toby Foreman, the expectation for Shoemaker in year 3 is pretty simple. They all know the system, they've won at the lower levels, and now it's time to win at the varsity level. Last season, the Gray Wolves finished 2-8 overall, but 2 of those losses were by 6 points or less. Coach is hoping the emotion from those wins can carry over from last year.
The Harker Heights Knights are bigger, faster, stronger, and most importantly, according to head coach Jerry Edwards, healthy in 2019. After an injury-plagued season a year ago, the Knights have regrouped, and the players say they're much closer than last year's team was. In fact, Edwards says this team reminds him a lot of that 2016 team, which won the KILLEEN City Crown and went to the playoffs.
Waco High is back for year number 2 under Kwame Cavill and has a year of experience under its belt after being young last year. 6 starters are back on both sides of the football, and the Lions are continuing to try to restore the roar and take this program back to the top. Cavill says the entire team worked all offseason to improve each and every day, and they're ready to take a step forward in 2019.
In 5A, the University Trojans snapped a 47-game losing streak last year, finishing the year 3-7. Now they're building on a run which saw the Trojans in the hunt for a playoff spot going into the final 2 weeks. Running back Jeremiah Stroop is back for his senior year after logging 1,000 yards a year ago. The Trojans are confident they can start making some noise this go-round in District 5, 5A Division 2. Moving to 4A, not a lot of coaches can win a state championship their first season in the Big Chair.
Yeah, but not many coaches have a team like Don Hyde has. The Pirates are picked to repeat as District 5 4A Division 1 champions. VEGA returns 31 lettermen, including 8 starters on offense, 4 on defense. R. Rawls is back under center after throwing for over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, while running back Jarquay Walton rushed for over 1,600 yards and 17 scores. Don Hyde says this train doesn't plan to slow down anytime soon.
That's the great thing about being at La Vega High School. You know, our expectations are the same every year. We don't set a goal to win a district championship. We expect to win this championship, and the goal is to win a state championship every year.
China Spring enters the season ranked 25th in Class 4A Division I and is picked 3rd in District 5. The Cougars roller coaster 2018 ended with them upsetting Benbrook in the first round and giving top-ranked Argyle all it could handle in the second. Now, quarterback Braden Faulkner is back for his sophomore season, and head coach Brian Bell enters his second year in the big chair. The team says there's a buzz in the locker room that China Spring can accomplish big things in 2019.
It's the dawn of a new era in Gatesville after the late departure of Kyle Cooper, who joined Art Browse's staff at Mount Vernon. Luke Howard is now in charge at his alma mater. A 2002 graduate, Howard takes over a team that's projected to finish last in District 5 4A Division I. The Hornets are young, yet again, in an unforgiving district, which includes defending state champion La Vega. This team is going to lean on Howard's coaching experience at national champion UMHB.
Obviously, trying to instill a lot of those characteristics here. And so, yeah, definitely leaning on UMHB experiences a lot, and made a few phone calls to Coach Fredenberg here and there, which has obviously been good. So, yeah, certainly leaning on those experiences.
Moving to Division II, if there were a team in Central Texas with high expectations this year, it's the Connally Cadets. Dave Campbell's Texas football has them ranked 6th in 4A Division II, the highest ranking in school history. Shane Anderson has a team loaded with talent. The offense is led by running back Javion Sunday, a Washington commit who ran for over 2,000 yards and 36 scores a year ago. Oklahoma State commit Trent Poland will anchor the O-line, and Corey Black is a stud defensive back who's also committed to the Cowboys. With so many playmakers, Coach Anderson knows the sky is the limit.
You know, this senior class has done a great job embracing those expectations, you know, and they know that we have a great opportunity in front of us. You know, the thing that is our job now is to take advantage of that opportunity.
The Lorena Leopards are coming off a monster season, which saw them in the Region 2 semifinals after winning District 8 4A Division 2. This season's going to look a little bit different, though. A lot of starters graduated, including 6 who were named All-District. But here is the good news. Quarterback Bradley Lina, who was named District MVP, is back after throwing for over 2,800 yards and 29 touchdowns. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has Lorena picked 2nd in District 8 4A and ranked 8th entering the season.
Our expectations are going to be, you know, we're fighting for district championship, and then we want to carry this thing as deep as we can. You know, last year we got beat December 1st. You know, we'd like to go further than that this year, but a lot of that depends on the chemistry, how quickly we develop, how these kids come along, and, you know, we've got a lot of things to do between now and then.
The Robinson Rockets finished 5-6 a year ago, falling to Rusk in the first round. This year, they're picked to finish 4th in the district, which saw 5 teams win at least 5 games last year. Head coach Tommy Allison returns 15 starters, 7 on offense and 8 on D. With that amount of experience, he says the Rockets are expected to blast off in 2019.
The Salado Eagles return a lot of youth, but this year, that's a good thing, though, according to head coach Alan Hare. A lot of young players, include 8 juniors, who as sophomores started at some point during the season, are back. One of those young guns, now sophomore quarterback Hutton Hare, who started 8 games for the Eagles. Now Coach Hare is excited about the talent in this young nucleus and feels they can make some noise in a very loaded District 8 4A Division 2.
The MEXIA BLACKCATS are finally healthy after injuries took all of their running backs and plagued them across the field in 2018. Year 3 under head coach Frank Sandoval sees a team Sandoval says is more tightly knit than his previous 2. Even though Dave Campbell's Texas football has MEXIA picked last in District 8, the BLACKCATS are poised to make some noise in 2019.
Well, coaching changes are inevitable in high school football. 11 Central Texas high schools are going to have brand new coaches patrolling on the sideline this season. But for one school, their new coach is the same as a former coach.
Nick, when Jerry Bomar took the job at GROESBECK in 1989, the program had only played in 2 playoff games. But now he's back in GROESBECK and hoping to take the Goats back to that former success.
He just said, "Dad, I think it's a great story."
There's a saying that you can never go home again.
I always looked at it and said, "No, how am I going to top what I did?"
But this spring, that's exactly what Jerry Bomar did in GROESBECK. Bomar was the head coach of the Goats from 1989 to 1991. And the game has changed since he left, so much so, Bomar compares his return to the program to the Eagles getting back together.
The Eagles broke up in 1980. Said the only way they'd ever get back together if hell freezes over. 1994, they reformed, still playing today. And their deal was, we're not going to go back and play the same songs, blah, blah, blah. Well, I looked at it like, enough time's gone by, I'm not going to go back and play the same songs.
Bomar's biggest hit, the 1991 Class 3A state championship. Since he left Limestone County after hoisting the state's biggest prize, the Goats have seen 13 more trips to the playoffs, but 0 playoff wins. That made buying in easy for this year's squad.
It definitely gave us a certain amount of trust that we could confide in him, because we already knew he accomplished great things before in the past, so we knew we could put our trust in him and that he would lead us to greatness.
I'm coaching the same position I played.
Eric Turbiarte was a senior offensive tackle on that 91 squad. Today, he's the offensive line coach for a coach he says is still just as high intensity as when he played for him.
As a player, he really pushed you. It was very, very fulfilling to know that I've given everything I can, because the coach is pushing me and making me do that. And now I get to help him do that with the new generation of kids.
It's hard not to look toward that south end zone at GROESBECK Stadium, toward that everlasting reminder of what this program once accomplished.
That was totally unexpected. We weren't even ranked. We were picked not to even be in the playoffs. So I don't worry about that stuff. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
But the Goats have their sights set to the future.
I want the guys to not think about, well, we got to try to get back to that. I want them to think we need to be the best we can be, and I want them to surpass what we did.
I really do see an opportunity coming up for us. Maybe not this year, but as soon as we start getting the pace going, we're going to do some great things here.
Because the new era of football in GROESBECK, Texas,
Go to work, let's go.
I think that's a man right there that can do it.
will look a lot like its triumphant past.
The same ideas, same principles. I'm bringing those same principles back here that we did here or the other places that I've been.
Bomar says part of his return was like divine intervention. He says he and his wife, who's now the high school principal in GROESBECK, live on the same street as when they lived there 28 years ago. Staying in District 9, a district that features defending state champion Grandview, this is going to be a tough district in 2019.
It is. The Teague Lions are looking to roar in 2019 after losing to Troy in the first round of the playoffs a year ago. 6 starters are back on both sides of the football for the Lions, but if you talk to the team, they're excited about the defense and know that this unit needs to be playing its best football come district. That's why 6th-year head coach Donnie Osborne isn't easing Teague into its schedule when state runner-up Malakoff rolls in Friday night.
Last year, West took home the District 9 3A Division I championship after going 5-1. One of those 5 wins, Grandview. Head coach David Woodard says they're going to lean on skill players this season who are guys that have played on both sides of the ball. Woodard says that type of experience is huge for this year's Trojan ball club.
The McGregor Bulldogs are under new leadership as Mike Shields takes over for Judd Thrash. Now, despite the Bulldogs going 4-6 a year ago, it was district play that was their downfall. This summer, the Bulldogs had a lot of players in attendance for summer workouts. McGregor brings back a ton of experience, which is a huge key for an entire team that is aiming to be one of the toughest in the district.
Yeah, you know, we want to be a tough team. We want teams to know that, hey, when the McGregor Bulldogs show up, you're going to play 4 hard quarters. Whether we're up, whether we're down, we're still going to be playing 4 hard quarters. So that's what our stamp wants to be.
In District 10, the Cameron Yeomen are ranked 4th heading into the season and expecting to make a deep run. 6 starters are back on offense, 5 on defense from a team that made it to the regional semifinal last year. Quarterback Braden Brashear is back alongside running back Nico Vargas and wide receiver Kobe Young to spearhead an explosive Yo offense, which will need to be just that to win District 10.
Expectations in Troy have never been higher. The Trojans coming off a stellar 9-3 season in 2018, in which Troy finished 2nd behind the Yeomen. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine had the Trojans finishing 2nd yet again. Workhorse running back Zach Herbashik returns after rushing for more than 2,000 yards as a sophomore. Hey, and guess what? His entire offensive line is also back. Now they just have to put everything together in 2019.
The Rockdale Tigers are on a mission in 2019. Head coach Jeff Miller says they've got a bit of a sour taste from that first-round matchup against Grandview a year ago. The Tigers bring back 8 starters on offense, but only 3 on defense. Coach Miller says the team's mindset changed entirely after their season was cut short. So this year, all of their focus is going toward improving, and there's a lot of buzz in that Tiger locker room.
Speaking of buzz, the Academy Bumblebees are fresh off their first playoff appearance since 2015. and are looking to keep it rolling in 2019. The Bees are in their second year under head coach Paul Williams and bring back 6 starters back on both sides of the football from a team which was sophomore heavy and now has that experience under their belt. So the Bees are out on a mission this year to prove 2018 was not a fluke and to put Academy on the map of Texas high school football.
In Division II, expectations are high in Bosque County, where the Clifton Cubs enter the season ranked 4th in 3A Division II by Dave Campbell's Texas Football. The Cubs are picked to win District 8 3A Division II for the second year in a row. Clifton has a veteran squad with 13 seniors and 6 starters back on offense, including reigning district MVP Riley Perry. But after falling in the second round of the playoffs for 5 straight years, the Cubs know nothing in 2019 is guaranteed.
The Rogers Eagles return everybody from a playoff team a year ago. 10 starters are back on offense and 9 on defense as Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has the Eagles picked to finish second in District 8 3A Division II behind Clifton. Rogers is focusing on the task at hand, wanting to contend for a district title and to prove they're here to stay. Well, there's nothing more exciting than 6-man football.
If you've never seen it, it's fast-paced, tons of offense. It resembles a basketball game with shoulder pads.
Yeah, there's one school in particular that's gearing up for their first season of football. Nikki Latterillo has more from Waco.
Well, Nick, I had the chance to talk to head coach Bryce Frazier, and he said this group of guys, they want to leave a legacy right here on this field. Now, as you can imagine, with a first-year program, there are a lot of doubters, but this team, they know what they could do, and they have high expectations for themselves.
Even though it's our first year as a program, we want to leave a legacy this year.
Bryce Frazier knows all too well about winning state championships.
Now, good ball, good ball.
Frazier led Parkview Christian Academy to the Texas Christian Athletic League Division II 6-man state championship 2 years ago. And now he's trying to do the same in Eagle Christian Academy's inaugural football season.
These aren't your typical first-year program guys. I mean, we're out here saying, hey, you know, hit this gap, do this assignment, and they're getting it.
Quarterback Caleb Wilson is no stranger to 6-man football, and with this being a startup program, it has caused many people to doubt them on the football field.
There's been like a lot of laughing, oh, y'all are starting a 6-man team, haha.
After a few weeks of practice, the mindset in the locker room is the complete opposite.
No, I definitely think we're going to come out a lot stronger than people think. We're going to, like they've all said, we have a lot of surprises up our sleeve.
Hampton is one of 12 players on the current roster, and with that small number, endurance will be the foundation of this team.
Endurance is key. Right before we practice, we have conditioning, and we run a couple miles in the morning, a couple miles in the afternoon.
Eagle Christian Academy is one of 262 6-man teams in the state of Texas, and their head coach knows what it takes to make it all the way.
Coach has been talking about just playing fast and pushing each other and working as hard as we can. So I think if everybody is hustling and working as hard as they can individually, that'll just grow us closer as a team.
Frazier's coaching staff is made up of a former player and coaches from that state championship team. He also was able to bring his father, Tommy, who has 3 state championships under his belt, out of retirement to be a part of this legacy.
Heads up, Dad.
Regardless of how this season goes, Coach Frazier wants to instill something bigger than football in each of his players.
My main goal is always going to be to make sure that boys become men, and that when they get out of here, they can call me one day and say, hey, Coach, I'm a dad now, or I'm married now, and I want to take and thank you for what you helped me with.
The Eagles will make their debut at 6 p.m. on Saturday against Fort Worth Covenant at St. Mary's Junior High in West. In Waco, I'm Nikki Latterillo, Channel 6 Sports.
All right, thanks, Nikki. The CTCS Lions are looking to get back to the playoffs after a really good season last year.
They're gonna have to replace Rylan Turner, though. He led all of TAPS in rushing yards last year, but they're prepared to replace him this year. The Lions have quarterback Braden Davis back for his senior year and are closer than they've ever been. Expectations have reached new heights as CTCS looks to win its first playoff game this year since moving to 11-man football 10 years ago.
Tyler Holcomb is the new head coach at Riker, and his Cougars are coming off a disappointing 2018 season. Of course, they're projected to finish third in 2019. One of the big reasons why, they have 17 underclassmen. 11 of those are freshmen. Holcomb says the biggest strength of his team this year will be the offensive and defensive lines. Now, if the Cougars can stay healthy, they can make a run at a district title. Well, stop me if you heard this before. Mart opens the year as a defending state champion.
This time in 2A Division II, and no surprise here, they are projected to win it again by Dave Campbell's Texas football in 2019. The Panthers return 9 lettermen, including 3 starters on offense and 3 starters on D. Offensive lineman Cameron Atkins and defensive lineman Rodrell Freeman were both named to the preseason All-State team. The pipeline is well stocked in Eastern McLennan County as the junior varsity went 9-1, so they feel they're in good hands to handle those high expectations.
The target on our back is it's always been there. It's going to always be there, and it seems like it just gets bigger and bigger every year. And you know, we understand that. We know what the expectations are around this place, and you know, these kids embrace that.
Ryan Cosma made the late move from Liberty Hill to replace Drew Bridges as the head football coach at Bartlett. Now, Cosma says he was drawn to Bartlett by the tradition and as the kids inspired that they can bring the pride and tradition in Bartlett back during the 1990s. Now, the Dogs only lost 4 seniors from last year's team, which means they have plenty of experience back in 2019 while working to bring back some confidence after going 0-10 last year.
We're bringing back the confidence and bringing back the excitement, and so that's what I'm all about. I'm all about getting these kids to play, getting to believe in each other, getting us to show out and say, you know what, we're here to play again. We're here to make a difference.
Up to Division I, the Bosqueville Bulldogs have always been a powerhouse. This year, they're battling inexperience, though, as they have to replace 8 offensive starters, including every skill position on the field. Clint Zander will have to find a replacement for 3,000-yard passer Tyler Webb, who transferred to Midway. However, the expectations in Bulldog country are still to repeat as district champions and make a run in the playoffs.
Well, the expectations are extremely high in Riesel, where the Indians are projected to finish second behind Bosqueville in District 8 2A Division I. Head coach Keith Stiffelmeyer says a lot of that fire from last year is still in his team after that tough loss to De Leon. Coach spoke about how valuable having experience on Friday night will be to his team this season.
Oh, it's tremendous. And you know, one thing a lot of people overlook is, you know, if you got 3 playoff games, that means you're going to have a third of a season that you worked where somebody else was sitting at home. That playoffs is tremendous, and the longer the run, the bigger season you had, then that means the more experience you got coming back.
The BRUCEVILLE-EDDY Eagles are under new management as Kyle Shopik takes over for JB Cheney. The Eagles went 5-5 last year, just missing the playoffs. Shopik feels the biggest strength of his team is their senior leadership. They bring back workhorse running back Nathan Quattlebaum, who rushed for over 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. BRUCEVILLE-EDDY also returns 9 players on defense, and in spite of missing the postseason, the Eagles expect to be there this time around.
They've won a lot of football games since they've been a football team together, and we're just trying to keep that going for them. The expectation is to make the playoffs for us, and the tide is turning here a little bit in BRUCEVILLE-EDDY, and the kids are feeling that a little bit, and so we're just trying to, you know, give them a little nudge and put them in that direction.
The Axtell Longhorns are hoping to build off their 6-win season a year ago. Rusty Reynolds takes over for Eric Blendon, who resigned back in April. His expectations are pretty simple: play for a district championship. The Horns are picked to finish 4th behind Bosqueville, Riesel, and BRUCEVILLE-EDDY. Their skill position players will be the biggest strength as they bring back Kobe Hollinsworth, who passed for over 2,000 yards. Coach Reynolds says he likes the way his team has been gelling so far.
Every day when they break it out, they say family. So I think just being a group that plays together and works together as one unit, and they back each other up. So I really think that's it.
Last season was pretty rough for Moody, and Dave Campbell's Texas football shows no love for the Bearcats, projecting them to finish last in the District 8 2A Division I. Jason's Hill team finished 1-9, losing their final 6 games. Hill says, though, the experience that's back is extremely valuable. One of the biggest strengths is no doubt their offensive line, which will open up the running game.
Over in District 7 2A Division I, Crawford looking to bounce back after a disappointing season a year ago. The Pirates were knocked out in the first round by Riesel. This season, Crawford is projected to finish 2nd behind San Saba, who made it all the way to the state semifinals in 2018. Delbert Kelm's team brings back a lot of lettermen, which means a ton of experience. They're going to have to replace a few guys on the offensive line, but Coach Kelm feels like they're going to be just fine this season.
Valley Mills is fresh off its first playoff berth since 2011, but this year they're going to have to improve a defense that gave up 39 points a game. This year, Sam Moody's team is picked to finish 4th in an always tough District 7 2A Division I. Here's the key: They return 15 seniors, including former Gridiron Player of the Week Spencer Eccleston, to carry the momentum into the year.
The Holland Hornets could very well be the best team that nobody's talking about. 20 lettermen, including 17 starters, are back for the Hornets from a team disappointed with its second-round loss last year. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has them ranked 13th entering the season, but the Hornets are in the same region as number 1 Refugio, number 2 and defending state champion Mason, and number 3 Shiner. So make some noise for Holland because they're on a tough path this season.
In Marlin, David Haynes Jr. is in the big chair after making the move over from Connally, where he was an assistant. The Bulldogs are coming off an 0-10 season, but the good news is almost everyone is back, with only 1 senior on last year's squad. With the tradition you can find out at Legion Field, Haynes and the Dogs are excited and confident they can bring that pride back to Marlin.
The tradition here is rich. Like back in the late 90s and the 2000s, man, they've won lots of games. They played the state championship. So when you hear Marlin, like, football instantly just comes to your mind, and good football. And so that's what I want to try to bring back to Marlin.
In Class A, the Abbott Panthers hoping to bounce back after a disappointing year in 2018. The Panthers were actually 4-2 entering the final 3 games of the season before dropping all 3 and missing the playoffs. Terry Crawford brings back a lot of talent, and they expect to make a run at a District 10 1A Division I championship. Abbott knows the experience their players gained a year ago will be key this season, as Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has them picked second behind Blum.
Twice in the last 3 years, Jonesboro has played on the biggest stage in the state, the 1A state championship game. The Eagles are hoping to rebound from a disappointing 2018 when they went 6-5 and were upset by 6-man Cinderella Lakey in the first round. Dave Campbell's Texas Football actually picked the Eagles to miss the playoffs this year, but in Jonesboro, the team is confident they'll be just as successful as usual. Now that we're done previewing everybody in Central Texas, one important question for you. Who is your dark horse out of Central Texas?
Got to be the KILLEEN Cadets. A lot of talent. I love what Shane Anderson's doing out there. I think they're going to make some noise this season, so don't sleep on them.
Buy me a ticket on the Holland train. The whole backfield is back. JB Chaney comes down to be the defensive coordinator. Don't be surprised if the 3rd round we see a 2A Division I region semi with Holland and with Mason, Shiner, and Refugio.
Going to be an exciting season in Central Texas. Of course, tomorrow night, Academy against Rogers. We'll have those highlights. Plus, Friday Night Lights kicks off on Friday at 10:10. You don't want to miss that. For Nick Canizales alongside Curtis Quillen and Nikki Latarillo, we'll see you under the lights.